Hey everyone, Holly Copeland here with Heart Mind Alchemy and Human Potential Coach. And I've got a short video for you today on how to use the Muse EEG sensing headband with Mind Monitor software to record your brainwaves. Okay, so you've got your Muse. This is a Muse 1, which you may have a Muse 2. These aren't made anymore, but the instructions are basically the same. If you have a Muse S, I don't have one of those, but hopefully you can follow the fit instructions and then follow along after you've got it fitted properly. Okay, so with the Muse 1 and 2, you put it on like this. You adjust by kind of moving your hair out of the way. I like to use a band, elastic band, to secure my hair because I have a lot of hair, so I think that's really important and necessary. And then just scrunch down between the back and the front till you get a secure fit. Okay, so now over to the app itself. So you're going to want to download the Mind Monitor app from the Apple Store or Google Play. And then I'm going to share my screen so you can see what it looks like. So once you've downloaded the app, bring it up here. And you can see, because I turned on my Muse, it's already recording brainwaves. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about are the signal strength, or the signal connection, and you want to make sure that it's well connected. And so this horseshoe in the lower left shows you your connection status. So you want all 4 circles to be colored in. It looks like the back 2 aren't quite colored in, so they're having a little bit of connection issues. Sometimes that happens, and I find that I just need to scrunch it down better, move the hair out of the way. I also sometimes use alcohol wipes to make that connection improve. Okay, so then the next thing that we want to look at is the settings. So I'm going to go over here and click settings, and we want to make sure that, let's see, the recording format is in CSV. The recording interval usually is set to 1 second. The recording upload can be email or Dropbox. I find that email is the easiest. That's your preference. And then I don't typically need to zip before upload, and that just, to me, adds an extra step. We want the graph type to be absolute. There's all 5 brainwaves. Turn to green. The average values is typically what you want to record. These default settings should all work fine for basic recording. The only other thing I'll point out here is you do want to make sure that your notch frequency is properly set. This will remove some of the noise, like typical electrical noise from different households. So if you're in the US, you want it to be set at 60 Hertz. If you're in the EU, it's 50 Hertz, or in a country that uses one of those standards. So do check your notch frequency to get a better, cleaner signal. Okay, once I've got those, then I go back to my brainwaves. The other setting that I'll point out that you may want to look at is this setting here, which will show you how much noise and interference you have. And so you can see here that the 2 frontal sensors, AF7 and AF8, are very, very clean, with the microvolts being hovering around 20 to 30 difference from the median. Whereas TP9 and 10, the back sensors, typically those connections aren't as good, and what I'm seeing here is probably some kind of electrical interference from my house. We've got other computers running, and for me this is pretty typical to have some level of interference from the rest of the house. Just make sure it's not too great, and you should be fine. Okay, I'm going to flip back over to the 5 brainwave settings here. Okay, so now we've got the settings set up properly. We've got a good connection, and so we're ready to record. And so you're going to hit the red circle there in the lower right corner, and this box will come up to tell you that you are recording. Okay, so let's say you finished your meditation and you're done, then you go down, you hit the square. It will pop up my email because I chose the email method. And so I'm just going to enter my email in here, hit send, and now the file is sent to my email. Okay, so let's say now I've got the file and I want to actually go to the Mind Monitor app in order to take a look at the brainwaves. Okay, so you bring up the Mind Monitor app here on a web browser. I like to turn it on landscape mode. I find it looks, it's a lot easier to read. And then choose the file. So go ahead and browse till you get one of the meditations. Choose average minutes and absolute brainwaves, which should be the default. Then you'll see all 5 brainwaves there are checked. And then you have your choice of the different sensors. If you choose all 4, then it will give you an average graph, or you can look at one at a time. I typically look at one at a time because I find that it's more informative. So for example, here's my TP10 graph. And so you've got it here, you can look at it, and then if you want, you can hold down on the iPhone and say add to photos and save it. And then you can just toggle through the different sensors to get the next sensor. So there's my AF7 graph from the other night. And again, I can hold down and save, and you can just walk through like that. Okay. So that is the basics of graphing on Mind Monitor, as well as recording your brainwaves using the Mind Monitor app. So hopefully you found this small tutorial helpful. And if so, and you would like to keep doing this kind of recording, please come join us on Heart Mind Alchemy Lab Facebook community, where there's lots of people who are recording their brainwaves using Mind Monitor app and sharing their data and talking about it. I'm not going to go into details about how to interpret graphs on this tutorial, but I will point out that I find it best to record many sessions over a long period of time, say weeks and months. So you really get to understand your own graphs and can interpret them. One graph doesn't typically mean a lot, but if you record over time, that way you can start to understand state shifts in meditation and correlate them with what you're seeing on the graph. So that's my basic sort of first advice to anybody who is using this app to record their brainwaves. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks. Be well.